Imagine waking up one morning to find out you've been laid off from your job, with no warning and no severance pay. This is a nightmare scenario for many of us, but it's a reality that can happen to anyone. Having an emergency fund in place can be a lifesaver, covering unexpected expenses and avoiding debt. But if you're starting from zero, it can seem like a daunting task. In this video, we'll explore how to build an emergency fund from scratch, and it starts with understanding why it's so crucial to have one. But here's the catch: it's not just about saving money. It's about creating a safety net that can protect you from financial disaster. So, let's dive in and find out how to get started. Having an emergency fund is not just a luxury, it's a necessity. It can help you cover unexpected expenses, such as car repairs, medical bills, or even losing your job. Without one, you may be forced to go into debt, which can be a difficult cycle to break. In the US, the average credit card debt per person is over $4,000, and the average interest rate is over 16%. This can quickly add up and become overwhelming. But with an emergency fund, you can avoid this trap and stay on top of your finances. So how much should you save? The general rule of thumb is to save 3 to 6 months worth of expenses, but we'll explore this further in the next section. But for now, let's focus on why having an emergency fund is so important and how it can give you peace of mind. One common myth about emergency funds is that you need to save 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. While this is a good rule of thumb, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. The amount you should save depends on your individual circumstances, such as your income, expenses, and job security. For example, if you have a stable job with a steady income, you may not need to save as much as someone who is self-employed or has a variable income. We'll debunk this myth further and explore how to determine the right amount for your situation. But for now, let's just say that it's not just about saving a certain amount. It's about creating a safety net that works for you. So, stay tuned to find out how to tailor your emergency fund to your needs. So, where do you start when building an emergency fund from scratch? The first step is to create a budget and track your expenses. This will help you understand where your money is going and identify areas where you can cut back. You can use a budgeting app or spreadsheet to make it easier. For example, you can use the 50/30/20 rule, where 50% of your income goes towards necessities, 30% towards discretionary spending, and 20% towards saving and debt repayment. But here's the thing: it's not just about cutting expenses, it's about making conscious financial decisions. So, let's explore how to create a budget that works for you and helps you achieve your financial goals. Creating a budget can seem like a daunting task, but it's actually quite simple. You can start by categorizing your expenses into needs and wants. Needs include essential expenses such as rent, utilities, and groceries, while wants include discretionary spending such as dining out or entertainment. Once you have a clear picture of your expenses, you can start to identify areas where you can cut back. For example, you can cook at home instead of eating out, or cancel subscription services you don't use. But here's the catch: it's not just about cutting expenses, it's about making sure you're allocating your money in a way that aligns with your financial goals. So, let's explore how to prioritize your spending and make the most of your budget. One of the biggest expenses that can derail your emergency fund is credit card debt. The average credit card debt per person in the US is over $4,000, and the average interest rate is over 16%. This can quickly add up and become overwhelming. But by creating a budget and prioritizing your expenses, you can avoid this trap and stay on top of your finances. For example, you can focus on paying off high-interest debt first, while making minimum payments on other debts. But here's the thing: it's not just about paying off debt, it's about avoiding it in the first place. So, let's explore how to use credit cards wisely and avoid debt traps. Now that we've talked about expenses, let's talk about savings. The key to building an emergency fund is to make saving a priority. You can start by setting aside a small amount each month, such as $100 or $200. This may not seem like a lot, but it can add up over time. For example, if you save $100 per month for a year, you'll have $1,200 in your emergency fund. But here's the catch: it's not just about saving a certain amount, it's about making it a habit. So, let's explore how to automate your savings and make it a part of your financial routine. One of the best ways to build an emergency fund is to automate your savings. You can set up automatic transfers from your checking account to your savings account, so you'll never even miss the money. For example, You can set up a transfer of $100 per month or $50 per week. This way, you'll be building your emergency fund without even thinking about it. But here's the thing, it's not just about automating your savings. It's about making sure you're allocating your money in a way that aligns with your financial goals. So, let's explore how to prioritize your savings and make the most of your automatic transfers. Here's what happens if you don't have an emergency fund. You'll be forced to go into debt when unexpected expenses arise. This can quickly add up and become overwhelming. For example, if you have a car repair that costs $1,000 and you don't have an emergency fund, you may be forced to put it on a credit card with a high interest rate. But if you have an emergency fund, you can cover the expense without going into debt. So, let's explore how to avoid this mistake and build an emergency fund that works for you. One of the best ways to build an emergency fund is to use the Snowball method. This involves starting with a small goal, such as saving $1,000, and then building on that success. For example, once you've saved $1,000, you can set a new goal of saving $2,000, and so on. This way, you'll be building momentum and staying motivated. But here's the thing, it's not just about saving a certain amount. It's about creating a system that works for you. So, let's explore how to use the Snowball method to build an emergency fund that works for you. One of the benefits of having an emergency fund is that it can earn interest over time. For example, if you have a savings account with a 2% interest rate and you have $1,000 in the account, you'll earn $20 in interest per year. This may not seem like a lot, but it can add up over time. But here's the catch, it's not just about earning interest. It's about making sure you're getting the best rate possible. So, let's explore how to shop around for the best savings account and make the most of your emergency fund. One of the key characteristics of an emergency fund is that it's liquid, meaning you can access the money quickly and easily. This is important because you never know when you'll need to cover an unexpected expense. For example, if you have a car repair that costs $1,000 and you need to pay for it immediately, you'll want to have access to the money right away. But here's the thing, it's not just about having access to the money. It's about making sure you're not sacrificing liquidity for returns. So, let's explore how to balance liquidity and returns in your emergency fund. Finally, it's essential to review your emergency fund regularly to make sure it's working for you. You can do this by checking your budget and expenses and making adjustments as needed. For example, if you've had a change in income or expenses, you may need to adjust your savings goal or contribution amount. But here's the catch, it's not just about reviewing your emergency fund. It's about making sure you're on track to meet your financial goals. So, let's explore how to review your emergency fund and make adjustments to stay on track. In conclusion, building an emergency fund from scratch can seem like a daunting task, but it's achievable with the right strategy. By creating a budget, prioritizing your expenses, and automating your savings, you can build a safety net that will protect you from financial disaster. Remember, it's not just about saving a certain amount. It's about creating a system that works for you. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos on personal finance and taking control of your money.